Marcus Chen stood in the marble lobby of his company's headquarters at 11 p.m., tie-loosened, exhausted from another 16-hour day. At 42, he'd built a tech empire worth billions, but his penthouse felt emptier each night. His wife had left 3 years ago, taking their dreams of children with her. The building was silent except for the hum of ventilation systems and the distant whir of floor polishers. Marcus had sent his driver home an hour ago, preferring to walk through the quiet streets to clear his head before calling another car. These late nights had become his routine, a way to avoid going home to rooms that echoed with absence. He was heading toward the elevator when he heard it, a haunting melody drifting from the executive lounge. Someone was playing the Steinway grand piano he'd bought on impulse 2 years ago but never touched. It had been an extravagant purchase, something about the craftsmanship appealing to him during a rare moment of nostalgia for the music lessons his mother had insisted upon in childhood. Security should have cleared the building hours ago. Marcus changed direction, his footsteps muffled by the plush carpet as he approached the lounge. The music grew clearer, more distinct, each note played with careful precision, yet filled with an emotion that made his throat tighten unexpectedly. It wasn't a performance, it was a conversation, a prayer, a memory being honored. He pushed open the heavy doors as quietly as possible. A small girl, no older than 7, sat at the piano, her feet dangling several inches above the pedals. She wore a worn pink dress with a small tear at the hem, and her dark hair was pulled back in a slightly messy ponytail. Despite her size, she played with surprising skill, a melancholic piece he didn't recognize but felt in his chest like a physical ache. Her small hands moved across the keys with a confidence that seemed beyond her years, and her eyes were closed, her whole being absorbed in the music. Marcus stood frozen in the doorway, not wanting to interrupt. There was something sacred about the moment, something pure that his world of board meetings and profit margins had long ago lost. He watched as the girl swayed slightly with the melody, her lips moving silently as if speaking to someone only she could see. "Hey," he finally said softly, not wanting to startle her. The girl's hand stilled mid-phrase, the sudden silence almost painful. She turned slowly, revealing tear-stained cheeks and enormous brown eyes that seemed far too knowing for a child. For a moment, she looked terrified, like someone caught doing something forbidden. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to bother anyone," she said quickly, her small voice echoing in the large room. "Please don't tell Maria. She'll worry, and she already worries so much." Marcus stepped further into the room, keeping his movements gentle and his voice warm. "You're not bothering anyone. I'm the only one here beside you. That was beautiful playing. How long have you been learning?" The girl's shoulders relaxed slightly. "Since I was 4. My mommy started teaching me." "Well, your mother is an excellent teacher. That's advanced repertoire for someone your age." Marcus moved closer, genuinely curious now. "It's late, though. Where are your parents?" "My mommy works here. She cleans the offices." The girl's voice trembled, and her eyes grew shiny with fresh tears. "She's on the 10th floor right now. I finished my homework in the break room, and I saw the piano through the glass doors, and..." Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I know I wasn't supposed to come in here. Maria always tells me to stay put, but I miss her so much." Marcus felt a stirring of concern. He pulled up one of the leather chairs from the nearby table and positioned it beside the piano bench, sitting down so he'd be at eye level with the child. "Miss who, sweetheart?" The girl wiped her nose with her sleeve, trying to compose herself with a dignity that broke Marcus's heart. "My mommy. My real mommy." She took a shaky breath. "Maria, she's the one who works here. She takes care of me now. She's really nice, and she tries really hard, but my real mommy died last year. Cancer. She was sick for a long time." The words tumbled out now, as if a dam had broken. "She taught me that song. It was her favorite. She played it every night before bed, even when she got really sick and it hurt her to sit at the piano." Marcus felt something crack open inside his chest, a wall he'd carefully constructed over 3 years of deliberate isolation. "What's your name?" "Sophie. Sophie Martinez." "That's a beautiful song, Sophie. Your mother must have been very talented." Sophie's face brightened for the first time, pride cutting through the sadness. She was a music teacher before she got sick. She taught at Roosevelt Elementary School and also gave private lessons from our apartment. Students came from all over the city to learn from her. Sophie looked down at the piano keys, her fingers hovering over them reverently. She said music was like magic. It could make people feel things they didn't know they could feel. She said the right song at the right time could save someone's life. Marcus found himself leaning forward, drawn into this child's story in a way he hadn't been drawn to anything in years. That's a profound thing to say. Did she tell you why she believed that? Sophie nodded eagerly, animated now by the chance to talk about her mother. She said that when she was young, her own mama died, and she was so sad she didn't want to do anything. But then a teacher played her a piece of music, and for the first time in months, she felt something other than sad. She felt understood. Like the music knew exactly what her heart was feeling. After that, she decided to become a music teacher so she could help other people feel understood too. She sounds like she was an extraordinary person, Marcus said quietly, and he meant it. She was the best mommy in the whole world. Sophie's eyes filled with tears again, but she smiled through them. Maria is taking care of me now. She was my mommy's best friend since they were little girls. They came to America together when they were teenagers. Maria doesn't have any kids of her own, but she promised my mommy she'd take care of me if anything happened. And she does. She works really hard. 2 jobs now. Marcus checked his watch. 11:15 p.m. The cleaning shift started at 9 p.m. You've been waiting here alone for over 2 hours. Sophie nodded matter-of-factly, as if this were perfectly normal. I don't mind. I do my homework first, and then I read or draw. But tonight I saw the piano, and I really needed to play. Sometimes my chest feels too full, like there's too much sadness and I might explode. But when I play my mommy's song, it's like the sadness can come out through my fingers, and then there's room to breathe again. She looked up at him with those devastating eyes. Do you know what I mean? Marcus did know. He knew exactly what she meant. He thought about the 3 years he'd spent burying himself in work, refusing to feel anything, building walls so high that nothing could touch him. This 7-year-old child had more emotional wisdom than he'd allowed himself in years. I do know, he admitted. More than you might think. Sophie's face lit up with understanding, as if recognizing a kindred spirit. Do you want to hear the whole song? My mommy said it was written by a man who lost everyone he loved but found a reason to keep going. She said that's why it's so beautiful and so sad at the same time, because it's about hope and heartbreak living together. Marcus opened his mouth to respond, but before he could speak, rapid footsteps echoed from the hallway, growing louder and more frantic with each second. A woman's panicked voice cut through the quiet building like a siren. Sophie! Sophie, where are you? Por favor, answer me. A small Latina woman in a cleaning uniform burst through the lounge doors, her face flushed from running, her dark hair escaping from its bun. Her eyes were wide with the kind of terror only a parent can feel when they can't find their child. The moment she spotted Sophie at the piano, relief and fear mixed on her face in equal measure. Sophie! Dios mio, you scared me half to death. She rushed forward, then froze mid-step when she registered who was sitting beside the little girl. The color drained from her face. Mr. Chen. I'm so sorry. I told her to stay in the break room on the 5th floor. I didn't know she'd wandered off. I was only gone for. Her words tumbled over each other in her panic. She reached Sophie and began checking her frantically, hands running over her arms and face as if to confirm she was real and safe. Please, don't fire her, Sophie said urgently, reaching out to grab Marcus's sleeve with her small hand. Her eyes pleaded with an intensity that seemed far too adult. Maria needs this job. We need this job. It was my fault. I disobeyed. I just wanted to play the piano. Please, sir. We don't have anywhere else to go. Marcus held up his hand, his voice calm and reassuring. Nobody's getting fired. I promise you that, Sophie. He stood slowly, taking in the woman's exhausted face, the worn uniform, the hands calloused from years of hard work. Maria, is it? Maria nodded, still holding Sophie protectively, her breathing rapid. Yes, sir. Maria Reyes. I've worked here for 8 years in the cleaning department. I've never had a complaint, never been late, never. She stopped herself, clearly trying to regain composure. I'm so sorry. This won't happen again. I'll make sure she stays where I can see her. How long have you been caring for Sophie? Marcus asked gently, his tone making it clear this wasn't an interrogation. Maria's shoulders sagged slightly, the weight of her world visible in that small movement. She clutched Sophie closer, as if afraid someone might take her away. 13 months, sir. Since my best friend Elena passed. We grew up together in Guatemala, came to America together when we were 16. She was like my sister. Maria's voice cracked. I'm not official family. I'm not related by blood, but Sophie had no one else. Her father abandoned them when she was 2. We never heard from him again. Elena made me promise I'd take care of her baby girl if anything happened. I'm trying to finalize the adoption, but lawyers are expensive, and the courts want home studies and background checks and— She stopped herself abruptly, shaking her head. I'm sorry, sir. That's not your concern. This won't happen again. I'll take her home right now, even though my shift isn't done. I'll make up the hours tomorrow. No, Marcus said firmly, then softened his tone when he saw Maria's eyes widen in fear. I mean, you don't need to leave. Finish your shift. But I'd like to understand the situation better. He looked between them, seeing the fierce love and loyalty that bound these two together. You're working 2 jobs now. Maria nodded, her eyes downcast. I clean here 5 nights a week, 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Then I work at a hotel downtown, housekeeping, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. A neighbor watches Sophie after school until I can pick her up at 6 p.m. Then she comes with me here. She looked at Sophie with a mixture of love and guilt. It's not perfect, but we are managing. Sophie's a good girl. She does her homework, she's quiet, she doesn't complain. Marcus felt his heart constricting with each detail. That means you're sleeping, what, 4 hours a night? Sometimes less, Maria admitted. But Elena would have done the same for me. More than the same. She was my family. Her voice grew stronger, more defiant. I know it's not ideal, Mr. Chen. I know Sophie should be home in bed at this hour. I know she deserves better than sitting in break rooms doing homework while her guardian scrubs toilets. But I love her like she's my own daughter, and I'm doing everything I can to give her a good life. The adoption will go through eventually, and then everything will be official and legal and proper. Sophie pressed against Maria's side, wrapping her arms around her waist. Maria takes care of me really good. She makes me breakfast every morning, and she checks my homework, and she tucks me in every night even though she's really tired. And she's teaching me Spanish, and she tells me stories about my mommy from when they were young. Sophie looked up at Marcus with absolute conviction. She's the best guardian in the world. Marcus looked at Sophie, at this 7-year-old child who was trying so hard to protect the person who protected her, and saw his own lonely reflection staring back. He thought about his empty penthouse with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a city full of millions of people, none of whom were waiting for him to come home. He thought about the years he'd spent building an empire with no one to share it with, no one to give it meaning. He'd told himself that success was enough, that achievement could fill the void his wife had left behind. But standing here, watching the fierce love between this exhausted woman and this brave little girl, he realized how hollow his life had become. Play the song, he said quietly to Sophie. The whole thing. I want to hear what your mother wanted you to share with the world. Sophie glanced at Maria uncertainly. Maria hesitated, clearly worried this was some kind of test, some corporate executive's whim that would end badly for them. But something in Marcus's face must have reassured her, because she nodded slowly and whispered, Go ahead, Mija. Sophie carefully extricated herself from Maria's embrace and returned to the piano bench. She adjusted her position, placed her small hands on the keys, and took a deep, centering breath exactly the way her mother must have taught her. Then she began to play. The melody filled the executive lounge, transforming the cold corporate space into something sacred. It was Claire de Lune, Marcus recognized now, but arranged differently, with variations and interpretations that spoke of Elena's unique musical voice. Sophie played with a maturity that transcended her age, each note weighted with memory and love and loss. Her eyes closed again, and tears streamed down her cheeks, but her playing never faltered. Marcus felt his own eyes growing wet, something he hadn't allowed himself in 3 years.